Ooh, a lot of students.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for being patient as we navigate some technology issues. I know during the quarantine, you guys are familiar with these interruptions during virtual meetings. So again, thank you for your patience and your great suggestions. That makes me really confident about the incoming class of master students. So welcome. My name is Christina Burton. I'm the Senior Associate Director of Graduate Admissions here at Penn Engineering. And we are so excited to have this conversation with you as you prepare for fall. This master's class we're really excited about, and we have some presenters here, as you see, who are eager to give you the information you need so that you can start with confidence. So without further ado, I'd like to just quickly review our agenda for today. We're going to have some opening remarks from our Associate Dean of Graduate Programs, followed by some information about matriculation from the Director of Graduate Programs, Elise Edwards. And then we'll hear from our representative from ISSS, who's going to tell you about how you should secure your visa and prepare for travel. And then we will have a live Q&A. So if you have any questions, I strongly encourage you to use the Q&A feature. We will use that live Q&A time to answer any questions that you might have. And if any of you are brave to unmute yourself and speak up during that time, you are welcome to do so. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Dr. Boone Tallu.
Thank you, Christina. First of all, I'm really so happy to see everyone today on Zoom. I'd like to congratulate all of you for getting admitted into our master's program. We have a record number of applicants apply. And so getting in isn't easy at all. It's very selective. And so congratulations for making it into our programs. I would like to start off by saying that I think it's a really exciting time to come to Penn. In 2 years' time, 2024, our new data science building will be coming up. And together with that, we're launching a lot of data science related initiatives that will be cross-cutting across all programs. For example, the university announced a major research initiative into engineering for health tech. Right, some of you probably know that there are a lot of the vaccine underlying technology actually came up from Penn medicine, and also in collaboration with our bioengineering department. And so there's never been a better time to come here. The one thing I want to talk about today is that since last year, we have successfully transitioned back. So I myself taught classes to 180 students. I think Penn has done an amazing job in navigating COVID. There's lots of testing done on campus, readily available to students. It's the saliva test, much better than the one that requires poking your noses. It's also, classrooms are very safe for learning. And in fact, we successfully held our commencement ceremony where there were hundreds of students, and the university carefully tracks case count, positivity rates, and has been very nimble about turning on and off masking and so on. Now, as a result of our successful transition back to campus, starting this fall, we really want to go back to 100% in-person learning. And that means that for all classes, we expect you to come in person. We were able to do hybrid learning during the pandemic, but I think we all agree that's not the best mode of learning when some students are coming in person while others are learning in different time zones, particularly in engineering, where I think a lot of the classes really require hands-on group projects, lab work, and so on. And those really are best done in person. So consequently, as a result of that, we will be requiring all students to arrive latest in person by the end of the second week of the semester. So I understand that there might be some concerns about travel and visas, and I'm sure Chi Wei from ISSS will be able to tell us more about that later on. but I would recommend everyone, particularly now that we are within 120 days of coming to Penn, that if you haven't already, please get started on your visa application process. Because if you don't make it here by the end of the second week, given our return to in-person, we would require you to defer to start in spring 2023. We are aware and we're tracking very closely the embassy situation in China, particularly given the lockdown in parts of Shanghai and Beijing. And there, we will also encourage students based in China to be flexible. If you can go to a different city to get your visa done, please do that and not necessarily wait for the one that's closest to where you currently are. So I think that's what I was planning to talk about. I will hand this off to Christina, and I'll be sticking around and happy to take any questions that any of you have.
Thank you, Dr. Liu. So as he mentioned, Dr. Liu will be back with us during the live Q&A session. Next, I'd like to introduce my supervisor and the Director of Graduate Programs, Elise Edwards, who will speak to you about what you should prepare for the fall matriculation. Elise?
Good morning, everyone. It's so nice to see you. I'll be the second person to say congratulations again on being admitted to Penn Engineering. As Dean Liu said, one of our biggest classes. I mean, just looking at the numbers of the attendance today, it's wonderful to see you all here. And we're really excited about you joining us in the fall. So I'm kind of just reiterate some of the things that Dean Liu just went over. So we are definitely going to be in person this fall. No remote learning, all classes held on campus at the University of Pennsylvania in our buildings in Penn Engineering. As he just mentioned, the last day to arrive is September 13th. That's 2 weeks after we start. So about 2 weeks time, and that also coincides with our drop add period, which I'll go over in just a second. So if you can arrive within those 2 weeks by September 13th, we are asking that you defer your admission to either January, so our spring semester, January 2023, or the following September. And when Chiwei is on in a little bit, she can also talk more about how that process works with your visa. And if you can't get here and if you need to defer your offer, the process is you check in with your graduate coordinator, the person in your program for approval, and then they will contact our admissions office, and that will happen behind the scenes. And you will be notified that your deferral has been approved.
Thank you, Elise. I just want to add one note. So the great thing about this is we're trying to automate our deferral process. So I would encourage you, once you accept the offer of admittance, you will receive an automatic message that asks you to confirm when you intend to matriculate. So you can use that email where there's a survey linked to actually request the deferral. Just wanted to put in that note. Thanks, Elise.
No, awesome. That's right. We are way more streamlined these days, thanks to Christina and her team. It's awesome. The course registration, I am not going to go too heavy into this. I actually left this a little bit vague, and that's because at the moment, we are still in the process of we transition to a new system, which is going to be wonderful for your cohort, because moving forward, your time at Penn will be in our new record system. But we have just moved into that in the last couple months, and the Penn Engineering, the university, we are still really working through it. That said, registration for new students usually does take place in the summer. You may have already received information. If you haven't, it is typical for your coordinator to be sending out information shortly, usually in June, as we just got through our graduations and wrapping up the spring semester. So as I noted here, right, the programs each handle it differently. Our new system is called Path at Penn. That is where you will do everything. You'll register. It has your transcript. It has all your information. So that is really going to be your go-to place for anything academic related. You will, when you get to registration, you'll learn more about, there are some courses where we require a permit, and we have all of that set up in our system. So if you need to get a permit, you can do that. And you can also check in with your graduate coordinator who will guide you through that process. And as I mentioned before, this September 13th date is a really big date. So not only is that when we said we would like you here, but that is the last day that you can drop and add courses for the fall semester. And what that means is if you have not dropped courses at that point, after that date, you own everything. We will go over all of this in way more detail when I see you again at new student orientation. I don't expect you to remember the ins and outs of dropping and adding right now. But that September 13th, definitely like earmark that date. And I will say, I think it's on a later slide, but just for those of you that are wondering, we will be holding new student orientation on August 25th. You can put that down. Oh, there you go. Thank you. I knew it was excellent. Yeah, so here are some important dates for you. I kind of threw a lot of things on here, so don't feel like you need to memorize or take all these down. But yeah, so June 1st, which is next week, is the deadline to accept the offer of admittance. If you haven't already, we really hope you will. As I just mentioned, August 25th, new student orientation. And that day we will come together as a group. So it will be all of the new graduate students in engineering, that's master's and PhD. And then you will also be receiving information from your program, because your programs also will have a breakout session. We begin the fall semester on August 30th. No classes on Labor Day. There's that September 13th date again, as I've mentioned a few times. Fall break in October. Advanced registration, that is when you will actually select your courses for spring. Thanksgiving, last day to withdraw from a class. And again, we will talk about all of this in greater detail at orientation. And then we wrap up our semester in early December. And by December 22nd, it's done. So I know that was a lot. I kind of threw a lot at you. I'm here. Definitely feel free to ask more questions during the Q&A. And I'll turn it back to Christina. And welcome. And there's our beautiful sign. Yes, that's right outside our building. Trying to sign our windows. Yeah.
So I just want to have the opportunity to introduce, we had two new people join our panel that you might have noticed. So I'd like to introduce Professor Swap, who's on the call. Thank you so much for being here. He can answer any questions related to his programming. We also have Courtney Johnson, who's one of our wonderful graduate coordinators. So should we get any questions related to biotechnology, she is here to provide any information you may need. So thank you again, Elise, and let's move on. Now I'd love to introduce you to Chi-Wei. She is our representative from International Student and Scholar Services, and she can answer most questions you might have if you are an international student preparing to start your education here in the US. Chi-Wei, it's over to you. Oh, we can't hear you, Chi-Wei.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, wonderful. All right, welcome everyone. Hopefully we will see you on campus very soon. Okay, so now I'm going to introduce a little bit what our office provide, what kind of service our office provide you. Okay, so we do serve international students with J1 or F1 visa. And then we also serve international scholars and faculty. But for you as an international student, J1 and F1, and I would believe that majority of you come to Penn with F1 visa. All right, next slide. Okay, and what do we do? Okay, so we have two parts of services. The first part is, of course, you guys are most familiar with is the immigration service. So when you guys need to come, then we will give you the I-20. With this I-20, you will go for your visa interview. And then during the process, you may want to decide on the start date. I learned that the latest day that you have to arrive at is September 13th. So if you can arrive before September 13th, you can use the I-20 that we give you with the start date as August 30th. Okay, so we do not need to give you a new I-20 with that. Okay, so let's go on. Immigration service, it's now, can you go back to the other slide, the previous one? Thank you. So immigration service is about your visa as you travel. And then in the future, I know that a lot of you are going to work with CPT or OPT, optional practical training, or curricular practical training. So we help you with all this employment authorization. Okay. And the next part of our service is integration service. So not only we provide you with our immigration expertise, we also help you to integrate to the Penn community. So we have a lot of different programs that help you integrate with the Penn community. Okay, so next slide. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about our immigration service. Next slide. Okay, so this is basically an outlook of what we are going to do for you. So initially, when you come, after you get your I-20, on the front page, on the home page of your IPEN, that you will see your personal individual assigned ISS advisor. And this advisor is your go-to whenever you have any question in terms of your migration status. Okay, so in the future, if you want to do your work, for example, the second part is the employment, just like what I have mentioned, CPT, curricular practical training, or OPT, before graduation or after graduation, you always want to talk to your ISS advisor. Many of you come asking, can I do on-campus employment? Yes, right after you arrive Penn, you are eligible for on-campus employment. But for off-campus employment, let's say you want to go to Google or some other places to work, those belong to our off-campus employment, that you will need CPT. And you will not be eligible for CPT until you are enrolled 1 year full-time with Penn. And C's does have fewer own policy. So when you have any opportunity, employment opportunities, I would suggest you to talk to your C's academic advisor or talk to us. Okay. And visa. I know that some of the countries, you guys still do have some visa delay, visa appointment delay. So you want to contact your ISS advisor and then to see whether we will be able to give you your I-20 earlier so that you can put in your visa appointment scheduling earlier. So to avoid the delay, okay? So it is very important as an international student to maintain your status. And how to maintain your status as an international student? You just want to make sure that every semester you are full-time enrolled. That's first thing. Second thing, you do not do unauthorized employment. This is especially important. Okay, some of the students came to us said that, well, I have already worked for ABC company for a week. Okay, and I received some payment. Can you give me the authorization? Yes, we could. We can try, but it's already too late because you already worked for 1 week for them. Yeah, so they will valid your F1 status, and it will negatively impact your status. Just want to be very, very careful when off-campus employment come to you. You want to consult us before you make a decision. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so this is just I have mentioned that we issue and we review your document, your request for OPT and CPT. And then our process time for OPT and CPT I-20 is 3 to 5 business days. Okay, just to give you an idea of how much time you can expect to receive your OPT and CPT. And once you submit your e-form, OPT or CPT e-form, this e-form will go to C's first before it come to us. And then in our office, we need 3 to 5 business days. Okay, so next slide. integration. This is the fun part, happy part. Just always remember, if we have emailed you with some information, or you can actually come to our website. We do have a lot of fun things going on after you come to Penn to introduce you to other international students or to other American local students. And we also do leadership training or a lot of fun things to help you explore Pennsylvania and Philadelphia. Just come and enjoy. Okay, so this is what we do. We do leadership training, we do orientation, trips, and workshop integration. Next slide. Okay, so I think this is the last slide. Just remember, whenever you have questions, just go on our website. We have everything you need and everything that you cannot imagine, all in there on our website. Okay, so remember to check on our website and contact your ISS advisor if you have any questions about us. All right, I think that's it. And I can take questions afterwards.
Thank you so much, Chi-Wei.
Sure.
That was a thorough presentation. I think you answered most of the questions that our participants have posed thus far, but I know there will be more. And so I just want to introduce, we did have another person join our panel. So we have Dr. Howard Hughes, who represents the MEAM Mechanical Engineering and Applied Mechanics program. So not only do we have MEAM represented, we also have biotechnology as well as computer and information science. So thank you for being here. Before we go on to the live Q&A, I just wanted to give you some practical information about preparing to move your life here to the US and specifically to Philadelphia, which is the 6th largest city in our nation. So you will have to look for housing, of course. We do have off-campus housing, which is where most of our graduate students find themselves accommodations. So I've provided some information here for the email address and website for off-campus housing. Please do take a screenshot, take note of it. They are available to assist you navigating finding your new home. So, and they also have, I believe there's a recording on their website where they did a housing fair, so you can find additional information there. So please take note of this website. I also wanted to give you information about your primary contacts. Elise mentioned a couple of times that you should be in contact with your graduate coordinator and that they would be in contact with you to help you preparing for registration of classes. So according to the program that you plan to matriculate in, please take a screenshot so that you have the correct email address for your graduate coordinator. The graduate coordinator is an admin who provides sign-off when needed for you to enroll into certain courses. They can also help you figure out, based on your specific program, which courses you are required to take and which electives may be of interest to you. So they are the best people to get to know, more than I would say probably most of us on this call, most of the staff on this call. They're your best friends here, so they can get you connected with anything across the university in terms of the many resources we offer here. Now it's time for our Q&A. I want to thank you all. I see that we do have 15 questions already loaded to our Q&A section. If you have additional questions, please feel free to enter them there. And because we have such great representatives from ISSS, from the academics for graduates, the graduate side of SEAS, as well as from 3 of our different programs, we should have most of your questions answered by the end of this call. So what I'm going to do is just go through and call out these questions that you guys have entered, and I'm going to ask our panelists to provide more information based on their area of expertise. So the first question I see is, for the financial documents cover sheet part, do I put 2 years tuition amount or the first year's amount? I believe that's an ISSS question.
The first year.
Okay,
first year is good enough.
Okay, perfect. I hope this person heard that and got the information they needed. Okay, the next question is, what if we needed to defer after we received our first I-20 with the original start date? Should we apply for another I-20 and visa?
You do not need to apply for another visa, but you want to contact your ISS advisor, we may be able to reissue a new I-20.
Perfect. Seems like a lot of these questions may be for you, Chi-Wei.
I'm happy.
Awesome. Can international students apply for an emergency visa using the support letter provided by the departments?
You know, different embassy, they do have different policy. So if your embassy does provide this emergency visa option for F1 visa, that you may try. Yeah, and then of course, if your department could give a support letter, that's the best. But I'm not so sure that whether the emergency visa is for F1 visa. Perhaps different embassies, they have different policy about it. So if it's good for F1 visa, certainly you should try.
Perfect. So for international students who need to transfer their SEVIS record to Penn, which date is the latest day to transfer?
Okay, so there is, well, you want to transfer to Penn, of course, before your program start day, but depends on your current status. Some students are on OPT, some students just want to transfer directly to Penn. So I would suggest you to talk to your ISS advisor or send an email to our general inbox. If you do not have an ISS advisor assigned yet, we will look into your individual situation and let you know, but certainly you want to come to Penn before your program start day.
And so we just have a question from a person who's unable to access their IPEN services. And they, it says, I'm still relying on the limited services portal. And they're wondering if you have any solution to that.
I think if he or she has this limited service, it would be good enough for her to, or for him to apply for an I-20. And once you get an I-20 and then your I-20 got activated, your IPEN access will become full service. That's what I imagine. I'm not a technical person, but feel free to just send an email to our inbox. But that's what I learned.
Okay, great. Chiwe, I'm going to give you a brief pause, a brief chance to recuperate, because I'm looking through the questions and most of them are for you. But I do have a question for Elise. So Elise, how do you access Path Penn?
All right, I'm too busy looking for stuff. Like I forgot to unmute myself. Yes, I'm getting the link for that. I think it is just that email, but I'm looking for the specific one. I'm going to put that in the chat and put that in the questions.
Okay, great.
I'll just hop on too. I've been answering some of trying to help QA because there's a bunch that are asking about kind of internship CPT. So I've answered some, but I'll just state it again. To do CPT, you must complete 6 classes towards the master's degree. So typically we see students come in, so they take fall and spring and they do a summer CPT. So for you starting, it would be next summer. But the criteria is you must have 6 courses completed to be eligible for CPT.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
oh yeah, go ahead, Chiwe, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to add that this is a C special policy. So if you talk to other people from other school, they are telling you, no, we do not have this CCU. You just want to know that as long as you are a C student and you want to do C CPT, you need to complete CCU before you are qualified with this CPT with Cs.
And Chiwe, a question I'm seeing a couple questions about when they log on to IPEN, when do they see who their advisor is? Do they need to check in with you first, or does it kind of roll when the semester starts?
Once they receive their I-20, that they should see their ISS advisor on the front page.
On the front page, yeah. There were a couple questions. So when you log into IPEN, as Chiwe was showing you before, so once they've received the I-20, you will see the name of your ISS advisor. A couple people on the top. Okay, wonderful. And a couple people I know were asking for your email. I will just say, it is possible Chiwe could be your advisor, but there's a team of ISS advisors. She's one of a few.
We have other, very nice advisors.
They're all wonderful. I can speak so highly of every single one of them.
Thank you, Elise.
So it is possible Chiwe is your advisor or not, but that person's name will be in IPEN, so you'll be able to contact them.
Elise, maybe you can answer this question or provide the link in the chat. A person wants to know, can I come and satisfy the immunization requirement once I come to Penn, and will it be covered by insurance?
I'm not sure I know that. That is sounds like a student health question. So let me get that link too. I can tell you, well, actually I was going to mention insurance. That's a different compliance issue. I'm not sure, and I don't know if Boone perhaps even knows that, but let me get the link for student health.
Mm-hmm. I'm not so sure what the student mentioned about immunization. Is it a COVID vaccine, or it's just the immunization required by the visa or something? Well, so if it's COVID, you can find information on our website. We do have what kind of vaccine we receive or the US government would take when you are at the border. Yeah, but then for immunization, yeah, it's a student health center question.
Perfect. That's great. Thank you. I saw about 4 questions related to immunization and student health. So
go to our website.
Mm-hmm. Great. And I do want to add, someone asked, is health insurance included in your costs? Yes, you do have to pay for health insurance as a student.
Oh, Akshar said he asked about they asked about other vaccines. I'm about to put the link in the chat, not the Q&A, but the chat window for student health.
And I see one question. Someone wanted to know a little bit more about financial aid information. That is not going to be covered in today's webinar, but I do recommend that you reach out to our Student Financial Services Department. Elise, did you already provide that link? I thought I saw you.
Not for student financial, no, but I can do that right now.
Oh, great. Thank you.
And then I actually just saw the other question. It's like, how long do we process an initial I-20? Yeah, and then the answer is 3 to 4 weeks. We are trying our best. But then if you have difficulty schedule a visa and there's a huge delay in your particular country, please contact us. Yeah, we will try to help.
I'd just like to move us back to this screen for the graduate coordinator. A lot of people have been asking questions related to when can we register for courses. I saw a specific question for the electrical engineering department. We do not have a representative here today for that department. However, I do encourage you to reach out via the email address provided here. So I'm just going to leave this screen up, although we will continue the live Q&A. All right, let's see, any other questions? So someone did ask about room assignments for on-campus housing. We do not provide assigned rooms for graduate students. So I do encourage you to go back to the website that I asked you to take a screenshot of for off-campus housing. That will be your most useful resource in terms of identifying your new home. Now, because we are very fortunate to have representatives from 3 different programs: biotechnology, mechanical engineering and applied mechanics, as well as computer and information science. You can feel free to direct some questions to those representatives here if you have them. And there's a question about tuition. When is tuition due? Any financial aid or tuition related questions, please utilize the link that Elise provided for Student Financial Services. Now, panelists, given the questions that you've seen and perhaps replied to in the chat, are there any responses that you want to highlight as important for everyone to hear, or any questions you want to answer directly? Seems like in the chat.
I can.
Oh, go ahead. Sure.
Hey, Christina. Yeah, I can just mention. So I think there's several questions about academic advisors. So I think this depends on the program. So I would say wait for either to get an email from the department or reach out to the coordinators that are on this page. So typically what will happen, like for CIS, for example, we'll send out an email in the next few weeks with more information about course registration, your academic advisor, like information such as like a Slack group, things like that. And then you'll be able to get started in terms of course registration. You'll know who your advisor is. You can reach out to them and talk to them and so on. So there are a few people asking about that. In general, I think most programs will do this in the summer, but I think programs do it slightly differently.
Yeah, let me add, in mechanical engineering, I guess after June 1st deadline, when you accepted our offer, I guess during the first week or second week of June, the department will assign the faculty advisors and send you a letter, details all the information that you need to know. So the schedule is early June, you will receive the letter with all the information attached.
Great, thank you. And so I do see a lot of questions regarding the I-20 and visa processing, and they are really specific to your individual situations. I don't think we should utilize our shared time to answer those questions. However, Chi-Wei did give you some information as to how you can identify your ISSS advisor. So I would encourage you to direct those questions to that person. I do have a question for you, Chi-Wei, that I thought was really intriguing. Could you talk about the difference between CPT and OPT?
Mm-hmm. Okay, very good question. Okay, CPT is called curricular practical training. Most of the time, if a student is still at Penn, we will recommend them to do CPT if they find any off-campus improvement that is highly related to their major as Cs. Okay, so OPT, there are two kinds of OPT. One is called pre-completion OPT. The other is post-completion OPT. Some students, they cannot find a course or they cannot find appropriate process to do their CPT. So they try to opt for pre-completion OPT. But if you have opportunities, we always recommend students to do CPT before you graduate from Penn. Cs is very accommodating. It's a great school. They always, well, you guys have some CPT courses to give students the opportunity to do off-campus CPT. So before graduation, we always recommend students to do CPT. Because if you do pre-completion OPT, that is going to take away the time that you can do after graduation on OPT. So we have a comparison chart on our website for CPT and OPT, and you can always refer to our website. But I would say that unless you have already exhausted all the opportunities that you can apply for CPT, otherwise, we will really highly recommend you to do CPT. And CPT, the authorization was issued by us, our office. So it's 3 to 5 business days, you will get your authorization. But OPT, you will need to submit the application to the USCIS. They will normally take 2 to 3 months. Okay, so that's a very long time. Yeah. I don't know whether I answer your question clearly, but then yeah, this is the basic one.
Yeah, I think that's an important distinction. Thank you for that, Chi-Wei.
Sure.
Elise, I have a really unique question for you. I haven't seen this in many of our webinars, but the question is, do you have an email address to send VA paperwork for the GI Bill certificates of eligibility?
I don't, but that also goes through, there is an office for that. Let me
Okay.
find that. I'll put that in the chat.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, sure.
Okay, so we have a ton of questions. I'm just trying to read through to see the most relevant ones for today's topic. We have one for me, so perhaps Dr. Hugh can answer this. Where can we find full details of MEME courses like books to follow, syllabus, and all of that?
Yeah, it's not particular to me that the university has a course catalog. It's online, and if you type in the course number, it will have a brief description of what the course is about. And if you want to learn, know the syllabus, that the basic details, more details about the course, you have to actually contact the instructor to obtain the syllabus. And so that first you need to find out who is teaching that particular class, and then email that instructor to obtain that a particular class, that the syllabus used in the past for that particular class. And that way you can learn exactly what the list of the content of that class will be. So that is not unique to mechanical engineering, that you can follow the same procedure for any courses offered in the engineering department.
Thanks, Dr. Hugh. And similarly, I have a question for Courtney for biotechnology. Courtney, could you answer this question? When can I expect the course registrations for biotechnology?
I think Courtney may have stepped out for a while.
Oh, okay, sorry about that.
But I think this question is actually also very relevant to SWAP as well, because there's questions on wait lists, getting in, can they register now? And it's also tied to a question for Chiwei on, can they register before their service record is up? I think that is all these general questions.
I can answer this from the CS perspective. So what we'll usually do is maybe in the next couple of weeks, you'll get an email from me and Radian saying that here's all the information as far as registration, waitlist, our things like the Slack group for CIS and so on. So that email will contain all the details. So for now, I think no one can register as far as incoming students are concerned. We generally wait till after June 1st, once we know who all have accepted the offers, and then we'll send out information about that.
Okay.
Great, thanks. Oh, sorry, did you want to jump in, Chiwei?
No, I just want to say that before your program and before you come to Penn, before you have active service record, yes, you are able to register for courses, but your academic, your service record or your service status will not be active until you come to Penn and you complete your registration process with us. But before that, yes, you can do your registration with your academic department, which is C's.
Thanks for that. We have a really popular question that I've seen in a lot of our webinars. So could someone speak to the procedure for obtaining a TA-ship or an RA-ship?
I guess I can speak to this. Now, I think it's a bit challenging to try to TA or RA in your first semester. And in fact, I probably would advise you to focus on settling in and focus on your classes in your first semester. But if you have done well in any particular class, feel free to reach out to the faculty after that for TA or RA opportunities. I think there's plenty of TA opportunities for master students. So if you could receive an A, I think it's quite possible that you can obtain some TA in the same class. Research is, I think, a little bit more challenging simply because each faculty has a limited number of research assistantship. But doing research can come in many forms. It can be in the form of an independent study, a master's thesis, and in some cases, getting some kind of paid hourly RA-ship with the faculty. I have to say though, if students who are willing to stick around over the first summer usually have a better chance of getting a paid RA-ship than during the regular semester. But again, I think the first thing to do is to make sure you do well in the classes, get the faculty to notice you, and then you can approach them.
And I can add a little bit to what Boone said as well. So I think as far as TAing is concerned, it will depend on the program, but for CIS, we've tried to have a common TA application. So this will typically be available, let's say sometime in November for spring classes and sometime in like April for fall classes. So we've had a bunch of people already apply, but I know there are definitely several faculty who need more TAs. partly with like increasing enrollments, partly because they couldn't find enough qualified people, etc. So I think for now, I think the common application for CS has closed. I'll post the link in chat over here in a second, but keep an eye on that for spring. And as Boone said, I definitely recommend not trying to do too much in your first semester, just acclimatizing to Penn, and your department will be, I think, a good way of getting eased into the program.
Okay. In the interest of time, we'll take maybe about 5 more questions. So if there are questions that the panelists want to shed a light on, you can feel free to do that. I do have one question that I think would be helpful for Chiwe to again reiterate. So this person just wanted to confirm if they already have an I-20 transferred and the visa has not expired yet, do they need to apply for a visa again, since currently the annotation on the visa page was for the previous school?
Mm-hmm. That is totally fine. Okay, if you have already have a valid F1 visa, and then you are going to transfer to Penn from the other school, and then on the page of your F1 visa, it shows the other school's name, it is fine. As long as your visa is still valid, you can use the same F1 visa to come to Penn to continue your study.
Okay, thanks. Elise, I have 2 questions for you. Can you, one, speak to the transfer process? I did see a question about someone enrolled in one master's program and they're considering transfer to another. So that's the first part. And then how do they bring in graduate credit that they obtained while in their undergraduate program?
For the first question, you are not eligible to transfer to another program until you've completed 1 full semester with us, or 3 courses. So in January, if that's something you're thinking of doing, we do have a transfer application. As I mentioned before, with the new system, that the process for doing it is going to change. And we will have that up and running by then. At the moment, we use a form, but you'll be able to do that through Path at Penn. But the big thing is you cannot transfer programs until you've completed this semester. I also recommend talking to the program that you're thinking of transferring to. So either talking to that program chair, that coordinator, to get some information, to find out if the courses you've already taken will fit in their program. So it's not a decision you want to make lightly. And then the second thing, I think, is the transferring credits. You cannot transfer any credits from an undergraduate degree. We allow up to 2 transfer credits from a previous master's or graduate work, but or if you took graduate courses that did not apply to your undergraduate degree, that's different. But we cannot take undergraduate courses and apply those to a master's degree. Don't know if that answers. And Christina, really quick, because I'm scouring the Q&A, I did see, and I don't know if you mentioned it or you're probably going to mention it, what is the last day they can get the official transcript to us? I couldn't remember.
Okay, yeah, that's a good question. So we'd like to have it ideally by September 13th. Usually we request it before the first day of classes. So ideally before the first day of classes, no later than September 13th. And I actually thought, Elise, that you were reading the same question I was for you. There was a question about dual degree.
Sorry.
Could you talk about that?
Sorry. Well, I don't see the question, but tell me, it's dual degree with another school here, I guess. Is that what, I'm not looking at it. Well, I can
specify, but could you just talk about in general, what's the process if someone is interested in dual degree?
Okay, so we only have dual degree with a couple programs. So I'll use Wharton, the business school as an example. If you're interested in that, again, first thing, come check with me or with my colleague Corey, who's here today. We can go over that. But in essence, if you want to apply for a dual degree in another school at Penn, you have to also apply to that school and be admitted. So we do have, like I said, programs with Wharton, but it's only for particular masters. MCIT also has something with the law school. So you can do it, but you have to be admitted. You have to apply just the way you would apply externally to anything else, and you have to be accepted. If you're accepted, then we can talk to you about how a dual program actually works in terms of courses, what you would need to take to fulfill both degrees.
Thanks, Elise. I know that you're going to give more information during the master's town hall, but I thought it would be good to give them a little bit of,
yeah, sure,
a precursor to that topic, because it's a big topic for many of our incoming students. We have very, people who want to accomplish a lot, very driven. So I know that's on people's minds. So I'll just ask before I close out, do the panelists have any final, comments they want to make to their incoming class, or any, information they want to share that they think is important as they prepare to make their final decision on June 1 and then get their records ready to join us in fall?
Yeah, I think there's a question that's worth addressing, which is we have a group of students who are current F1 students in the US already because of their undergrad degree. And I think there's a question on how do they get their visa? Do they need to go back to their home country? And also whether it's even advisable for them to travel, for example, back to China, given the lockdown situation. So maybe it's helpful for Chi-Wei to address this.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So for students who are currently in another university and is looking to transfer to Penn, if the gap between the end date of your previous degree and the start date at Penn is not beyond 5 months, then you can directly transfer your service record to Penn. So as long as this period of time, between your end date of your previous program and the start date with your Penn program is not beyond 5 months, then you can transfer to Penn. And then as for travel, for me, from my perspective, I would not recommend travel during this period of time. But if you really want to travel, you can with your transfer I-20. Once you transfer to Penn, we will give you a I-20. And on the I-20 was a transfer pending. You need to use the I-20 to travel. But again, I highly not recommend against international travel at this time. Yeah.
And there's also, I think, questions about taking classes this summer if you're an incoming student. Many of our engineering summer courses are actually offered online. And so if you want to take it, it's possible. In fact, I know some material science students are doing exactly that, like taking classes remotely, and you don't really need to have a visa or anything to take it remotely. However, it's a big however with an underline. Starting fall, right? The summer is really an exception because the classes are online. Starting fall, because all classes are going to be in person, we would require you to get your visa by then, right? So you have to then come in person, if not defer to a later semester.
Boone, I'll also just add to that, if that's something students are going to do for summer, they need to contact admissions and then or Tori and me, because your start date right now is fall, and you wouldn't be able to register. And at this point, we've started summer session 1, so it would really have to be for summer session 2, which is the month of July. But yeah, the first thing is bumping your start date up, or else you won't be able to register in the summer.
Thank you for that, Elise, reminding people to contact admissions if they plan to either matriculate early before the fall, or they intend to defer their matriculation. Thank you for that reminder. So any other words of wisdom from our panelists before we close out?
Can I say something?
Of course.
Yeah, just want to remind our international students to check on our website again from you how to open a bank account, driver license, and how to find fun things to do in Philadelphia, to CPT, OPT, visa application, what do you need to prepare? We have everything. Okay, so just Google ISS UPenn, then you will find us. Yeah, thank you.
And I will say that ISSS also does a fabulous orientation. So when you're coming, you'll come to the C's orientation, but ISSS also has a ton of programming, including orientation, lots of meet and greet events. So definitely check in with them. Also, I've been putting Chi-Wei, correct me if I'm wrong, but I know a lot of people are asking, they must check in with ISSS when they arrive, correct?
Yes, once you arrive, yeah, you are correct, Alice. Once you arrive, remember to submit the e-form also, again, through your iPad. Submit your e-form, check in. so that your record will become active.
And I'll add one more thing as well on a slightly lighter note. I know many of you are excited to start classes and TAing and research, but don't undervalue the time to just relax and have some fun with your friends and family before you get to the US, before you start at Penn. Like, do whatever you enjoy doing. The semester will get busy, but have some fun before all of that starts.
I love that swap. Thank you. I mouthed that to myself and I said, no, people need to hear this, you know, because you're embarking on a great journey and you want to make sure that you take time to be present throughout the journey, present to build network. And that takes like building friendships, but then also present to, you know, take in what the city has to offer. So yeah, really do not neglect your social life and your mental health.
Agree.
Yeah.
Christina, I see it looks like Aiden Smith has his hand raised. I don't know if Aiden wanted to a couple people have a couple people look like they have, I don't know if that was for questions.
Well, I appreciate that. If
okay.
We have 2 minutes left. I guess if you have a quick question, this one person who has their hand raised, you can unmute yourself. I see Chiwe with her hand raised, so I think that's okay.
Sorry, that's me.
It's okay.
There were some others that went away. Okay.
That's me with my cell phone. Yeah,
it's okay.
I need to hear all of you.
It's okay. So we're just going to close out, but before we do, oh yes, you can say goodbye if you want to, Chiwe.
No, I'm here.
Okay. I wanted to close out, but before we do, I want to direct you to 2 sources that will be really helpful to you. So if you're an incoming student, and presumably all of you here are, just make sure you have accepted our offer of admittance. Go to our YouTube channel. So Graduate Admissions does have a YouTube channel where we will upload a recording of this session. So if you came in late, or if you have a colleague who you know is going to join you in the fall here, make sure that you encourage them to follow us or subscribe to our YouTube channel. And then finally, we are excited because we have a new Instagram page. So you can get information about what's going on in Philly, what graduation was like, because we had our first in-person graduation in some time and it was amazing. We have excellent pictures from that. You can see what awards our students are winning. You can see what research is happening. And again, what awesome things to do in Philly. So I strongly encourage you to follow these 2 graduate admissions pages. And thank you again for being here. My name is Christina Burton. It is a privilege to be a part of this graduate admissions team and to welcome you guys here to Penn in the fall. And I'll let Boone give the final closing and then we can all depart.
I guess the one thing to say is I'm really looking forward to seeing everyone. It's been a while since we have like a school-wide orientation, and that feeling of seeing everyone together is amazing. So I'm really, really looking forward to that.
And Boone, can I just, one more thing? I think I saw someone put in the chat, can you come visit if you get here early? Yes, my only suggestion is if you're gonna be on campus, just shoot us an email, whether it's Christina, whether it's me, whether it's your program, the chart we put up before, just check in. Some days we're here, some days we're not. We are going to be there every day soon enough in the fall, but just check in and make sure we're around. I would hate for you to come and not be able to see us. And also, until your Penn card is activated, you cannot get into our building. So better that we know you're coming if you want to come inside. That's it. And it was great to see everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.